The reading comes from Fire in the Rain, Singer in the Storm by Holly Near. Cameras were clicking and questions were flying. I was terribly excited. Then a disembodied voice from the press called out, "Miss Near." Adrenaline shot right up my back to the top of my head. I stood up nervously and said, "Yes?" And he asked, "How do you think traveling with Miss Fonda is going to affect your career?" That was Jane Fonda. My career, I thought, my career? What is this man talking about? I've made a couple of bad movies, so I asked him what career he was referring to. As it turned out, my grade B movies had been playing in the Philippines, and unbeknownst to me, I was a movie star. I felt embarrassed. This wasn't how I wanted to be seen in the world, nor was it how I wanted life in the United States to be perceived. I was sad to discover that some of our worst films and music were being exported, and young kids there were buying it. The weight of this discovery never left me. I have referred back to this moment often over the years when facing my responsibilities as an artist. Rewriting the words to the song Old Time Woman, changing words that were demeaning to old people. Becoming aware of the use of blindness as a poet's metaphor for ignorance. Noticing how many folk songs have a jealous man murdering his love and throwing her in a river. Evaluating the manner in which art is presented as well as the content. Trying to read the effect a piece is having on the audience in order to improve the presentation. Even as a child, I knew the power of art, but it was becoming more clear how its power could be used against a people as well as for a people. A lullaby can put a child to sleep. However, music can be used to put a whole nation to sleep. Music can rouse people and inspire action. But witness the use of the brass band to call men and women to war. And so I return to his question. How will this work with Jane Fonda affect my career? Completely. I want to thank you for inviting me back to your worship today. I hope that what I have to share will give you strength in these troubling times. I am open and I am willing. To be hopeless would seem so strange. It dishonors those who go before us, so lift me up to the light of change. This song by Holly Near has captivated my heart ever since I first heard it. I Am Willing is a song released in 2006 from the album Show Up. She had written it 3 years earlier. Holly said, "I was trying to say to myself, why is it that we don't have a word for what people like me believe? I was trying to see if I could write about it in a song, and it kind of came down to, I'm open and I'm willing." Holly Near was born in 1949 in Ukiah, California, to a family that encouraged creativity. She experienced the racism toward Native people in her community at an early age, and this influenced her the rest of her life. By age 10, she had sung for people in a mental hospital and seen up close the ill treatment of patients. Her family only got their first TV when she was 16 years old and saw footage of the civil rights movement. Another major influence on her life started due to this. Holly protested military recruiters at her high school, and this also shaped her life. First picture. Who's got the pictures? There we go. By 1968, Holly and her sister Timothy, who names a daughter Timothy, had sung in prisons. Holly started classes at UCLA and was cast in several musicals in college. Her academic career ended after just a few months when she was spotted by agents and drawn into the world of film and television. You can take that picture down. Whoever's running it. Okay. She was cast in the movie Angel, Angel, Down We Go, and landed roles on TV in The Partridge Family and The Mod Squad. She did guest spots on TV shows like Room 222 and played supporting roles in films like John Cassavetes' Minnie and Moskowitz and George Roy Hill's Slaughterhouse-Five. She left for New York and had a role in Hair on Broadway for a short time. After her short run in Hair, Holly soon turned to singing full-time as a soloist, as well as sharing the stage with her sisters Laurel and Timothy. Throughout her career, she has enjoyed collaborations with such artists as Mercedes Sosa, Ronnie Gilbert, Inti Illimani, Emma's Revolution, and her longtime songwriting partner, the late Jeff Langley. She auditioned for Free the Army, an anti-war touring show starring Donald Sutherland and Jane Fonda. The cast was only 8 people doing skits and songs. It was an attempt to rally people to what was actually happening in Vietnam by the United States. They toured in the Pacific, and her work with Free the Army inspired her to write over a dozen songs, many of which were on her first solo album, Hang In There, which was recorded in 1973 when she was only 24 years old. All of this has happened before she was 25. There is hurting in my family. There is sorrow in my town. There is panic in the nation. There is wailing the whole world round. But before Holly recorded her first album, she worked as the receptionist for the legal defense in the Pentagon Papers trial. Through her work as a receptionist, she met Daniel Ellsberg and Tom Hayden. Picture. There she is. This led to another anti-war tour called the Indochina Peace Campaign with Ellsberg, Hayden, Fonda, Ramsey Clark, and Dick Gregory in 1972. She was writing and singing songs against the war and honing her ability to sway an audience with her music. Holly got more film, TV, and theater work in Hollywood after the tour ended. You can take that one down. She appeared on an episode of All in the Family created by Norman Lear. Then she decided to form her own record company to issue her records. She started Redwood Records with her parents being the home office and mail order house. By 1975, Holly performed in the Building Women show in Los Angeles with Lily Tomlin, Meg Christian, Chris Williamson, Margie Adams, and the Alice Stone's Ladies Society Orchestra. This was her beginning to sing feminist music. Put the next picture up, please. And she publicly declared herself a lesbian in 1976. She had a love affair with Meg Christian for over 3 years before they broke up. Holly went on to support the United Farm Workers Union during this time as they struggled for better working conditions. She also had her sister Timothy to use sign language at concerts, introducing American Sign Language for the first time to many hearing audiences, and was instrumental in developing access for hearing impaired people to concerts. She worked with other sign language interpreters to be able to paint her music in that language. You can take that picture down. But I am open and I am willing. To be hopeless would seem so strange. It dishonors those who go before us, so lift me up to the light of change. Holly took a women's peace delegation to Hiroshima in 1977. That included Bernice Reagan of Sweet Honey and the Rock, and Amy Horowitz, a well-known musician. This moved Holly into the anti-nuclear war movement as well as the other causes that she was supporting. When San Francisco supervisor Harvey Milk and Mayor George Moscone were murdered in November 1978, Holly and Tori Osborne drove there in the rain, and on the way, Holly hummed a melody to keep her from sinking into despair. Then came the words. At that vigil that night on Castro Street, the crowd brought their rage, their candles, and their voices together. Holly led them in singing. We are a gentle, angry people, and we are singing for our lives. This song has become an anthem for the LGBTQ plus community and is sung at pride parades and concerts. And as you heard this morning, this song was included in the 1993 hymnal, and we sang it just a few minutes ago. It's one of my favorites. May the children see more clearly. May the elders be more wise. May the winds of change caress us, even though it burns our eyes. Holly Near helped promote the career of Sweet Honey in the Rock by coordinating their tour and producing their record called Believe I'll Run On, See What the End's Gonna Be, a first coalition effort in 1979. Out of that struggle to understand Black people and their yearnings came a new awareness on Holly's part. She said, I went to work on my racism actively and aggressively, which in large part meant scrutinizing cultural misunderstanding. She learned to sit quietly, to not always knowing what to do, and tried to rid herself of assumptions about others. Near began a long-term relationship with a man in 1994, which alienated some of her lesbian audience who felt it was a loss for their community. She said in 1994, I am a feminist. If I am with a woman, I am a feminist. If I am alone, I am a feminist. If I am with a man, I am a feminist. My feminism and ability to love has been highly informed by having had lesbian relationships. The quality of my life has, without question, been elevated. I am going to sing lesbian love songs and support gay rights no matter what. The rest is public relations. So she has had relationships with various men and women throughout her life. Holly states that she is monogamous, and this defines her sexuality more than any other title. Her music reflects this understanding, even though some find it confusing. But I am open and I am willing. To be hopeless would seem so strange. It dishonors those who go before us, so lift me up to the light of change. Holly Near had the honor of delivering the 2003 prestigious Ware Lecture for the Unitarian Universalist General Assembly. Let's put that picture up. She spoke in story and song of her own personal history to share some of the moments in my life that kept me an activist. From the modeling of critical thinking and responsibility by her mother and father, to her own overcoming of shyness and embarrassment, to add her voice to opposition to war during her college years, to a career in television. She said, "The Partridge Family made me a feminist." Near's tales of earlier experiences were interwoven with songs, "Something Changes in Me," and "I Am Open and I Am Willing." This time when she was at the General Assembly may have been the first time that she sang the song that I've been singing in this sermon for the first time in public. My career in Hollywood got interrupted. I got distracted by the world, she said. She began to work against militarism, for women, for gay and lesbian rights, and while she admitted that she'd been accused of being a cause hopper, she said that she saw what connected us. Her goal, she said, was to be, quote, fascinated rather than fearful. She went on to say, "We are racing through space at an unimaginable speed. What shall we do today?" Holly saw the interconnectedness of issues long before others did. Give me a mighty oak to hold my confusion. Give me a desert to hold my fears. Give me a sunset to hold my wonder. Give me an ocean to hold my tears. Holly Near said, "I do not separate my music from my heart, nor do I separate my ideals from my daily life. I open myself up to learning as much as I can about humanity and this mysterious life experience. But I do not relate to political work as a series of causes. Moment by moment, I integrate what I learn into my personal life, personalizing my politics. It is from this personal place that I write my songs." Holly is known for the anthemic quality of some of those songs. As a songwriter, she takes up the challenge of turning big concepts into small, personal stories. In response to the slaughter of the students at Kent State, she wrote, "It could have been me." The chilling disappearance of people in Chile under the Pinochet dictatorship brought forth "E una mujer desaparecida." The title translates into "There is a woman missing in Chile," and describes the junta kidnapping and killing women who protested that cruel regime. Next picture, please. During her long career in folk and protest music, Near has worked with a wide variety of musicians, including Ronnie Gilbert, Pete Seeger, who you can see in the picture, Arlo Guthrie, Mercedes Sosa, Bernice Johnson Reagan, Bonnie Raitt, Jackson Brown, Meg Shambhavi Christian, Chris Williamson, Linda Tillery, Joan Baez, Phil Oakes, Harry Belafonte, and many others, as well as the Chilean exile group, Inti Illimani. In 2000, Holly released an album called Edge, which had a song called I Ain't Afraid, which spoke to my sense of religion. So listen to the lyrics and think of how religion is being used today to harm people who are trying to be fully human in today's world. I ain't afraid of your Yahweh. I ain't afraid of your Allah. I ain't afraid of your Jesus. I'm afraid of what you do in the name of your God. I ain't afraid of your churches. I ain't afraid of your temples. I ain't afraid of your praying. I'm afraid of what you do in the name of your God. Rise up to your higher power, free up from fear, it will devour you. Watch out for the ego of the hour. The ones who say they know it are the ones who will impose it on you. I ain't afraid of your Yahweh. I ain't afraid of your Allah. I ain't afraid of your Jesus. I'm afraid of what you do in the name of your God. Not done yet. You hold the applause for the end. In 2004, Holly joined Eve Ensler in the Mexican city of Juarez to march against the uninvestigated killings of hundreds of young women. In Toledo, Ohio, she sat as a witness to the testimony of women reporting rape and other violence against women. Holly helped raise funds for 10,000 Kites, a collaborative anti-war project between young people from Israel and Palestine who, in the spring of 2005, flew kites over the wall that separated them. In 2006 and once again in 2007, Holly was among thousands of protesters in Columbus, Georgia, to demand the closure of the infamous School of the Americas, where military police from around the Americas are trained in the methods, including repression and torture, used to undermine democracy around the region. As an aside, I think ICE has probably been going to that school. Holly has continued singing and touring. In 2010, she was in Chile when the huge earthquake hit. In 2013, she toured Nicaragua. She continues touring, and she sang in 13 locations, including 3 Unitarian Universalist churches in 2023. She just completed the National Women's Music Festival just last week. Next picture. While age has slowed her down and her body with some cancer treatments in 2014 and 2022, and a broken arm and shoulder from a fall in the winter of 2022, she continues singing. She has recorded 26 albums, either solo or in collaboration with others she admires, like Pete Seeger and Ronnie Gilbert. Her songs of protest will continue to be sung, and her activism will continue to inspire women and men around the world. Another picture, please. In the epilogue to her 1990 autobiography, Holly wrote this: I have always felt that many people confuse capitalism with democracy. And while trying to get what, quote, we have, will the new seekers of freedom forget, or having never seen it, innocently overlook, that capitalism has failed at caring for its people, and that what we have, alongside the very rich, is homelessness, a health crisis, illiteracy, violence out of control, and freedom of the press to choose what information and attitudes to impart? And how do we obtain collective power without it being at someone else's expense? How can we be together on this planet with our glorious differences? How do we take the environment seriously when she speaks to us? In order to be truly human, Is it not necessary that we face these questions with our families, with our neighbors, with the world? These questions are as relevant today as they were when Holly Near wrote them over 36 years ago. Today, we face the same issues before us. Our nation is struggling to overcome racism, which calls for the elimination of diversity training. There are those who would deny trans people the medical care they need to be fully human. We are facing voter suppression, insurrection, environmental collapse, and so many other ills clamoring for our attention. It is at this moment that we need to sing together in solidarity. For we cannot do this alone. We need one another. Together, we continue to do our bit to improve the lives of those we love and the world. We can do no less. One more picture, please. But I am open and I am willing. To be hopeless would seem so strange. It dishonors those who go before us. So lift me up to the light of change. Amen.